This is TransAfricaRadio.
When did you then, I mean, you say 2012 is when the track was got together, but at that time, no one knew the sound was coming through. You kind of heard the sound around, but had no name to it. Why then make the venture into that?
The sound was then. Big Nas was killing it with that sound. GQOM is not new.
Mind you, why do you move from what we know you to this GQOM sound?
I did not move. I just did what's been there that I'd been doing before.
So GQOM had been there before Kwaito, or alongside Kwaito?
No, Kwaito is older. GQOM, okay. Let's trace back. 2006-07, El Vovo burst into the scene. Durban Kwaito, produced by Zex Bantwin. And then Big Nas that time was bubbling under. They're doing hardcore Kwaito.
Yeah.
And things just weren't working for them. And then they joined the Durban Kwaito movement. Yes, they called it Durban Kwaito, but they were doing it GQOM. GQOM was born in Durban. You know that song? Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. That's it, GQOM. And that song is old.
I want to know when the move gets made, because remember what happens with music. So with music, remember, we have the sound that we listen to and the sound we get used to.
Yeah.
So you have a moment where, for instance, we have what we now call, I was saying earlier on that, people like Donald are not R&B vocalists. They are house vocalists, because the sound always seems to stem from a house beat, and it continues that way. So the interesting thing for me is you have been working with the people of the likes of Uprix. You've worked with that caliber of people, and you've also worked with Ofresh. For me, the next place where I would have placed Cleo was in full on house, because we've had a flavor of that, a taste of that.
Yes.
And so you bring this Durban Kwaito, they will call it, right? That happens again in Durban, and not necessarily confined to Durban, but it happens and has its genesis from Durban. And we're going, Cleo is got the sound, man, and he's ilekum, And we want to know, when does the shift happen? Was it an organic shift, or was it because of how, as an artist, when you create, you are always listening to the stimuli that's happening around you, that you're able to translate it into your music?
One of two things will definitely happen.
Yeah.
You're going to set a trend, if you're lucky, at some point in your career. But more often than not, you'll follow trends. Because at the end of the day, note what I said. You'll set a trend if you're lucky.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody just goes out of their way, I'm going to set a trend, and it works.
How lucky have you been?
Very lucky.
How many trends do we have here?
I wouldn't say trends, but I've been able to set an example for others to follow.
Yeah.
And I'm talking sounds wise, and even now with GQOM, it's what you've never heard. In fact, you've heard it before, but it's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Because that song was actually stolen from me 7 years ago.
Wow.
If you remember Beyonce's "Who Runs the World."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Miss
No, it wasn't her, obviously,
because I was about to give her a ring and let her know.
It was one of the record company people, one of the major labels, introduced me to some guy from the States during the 2010 World Cup. He works with big labels that side, blah blah blah. Give him some music, and who knows. And obviously you aspire to get somewhere. I mean, I was over this releasing house tunes out there, because I told myself, if I'm gonna break international, it'll be working with an international artist. And until then, I'm not interested.
You're not trying to get
that's
into
how that happened. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, they stole, and they must pay and make reparations, because we need our money back.
Let it go, man. This was, I think, 2011, man.
You're a bigger man.
Let it go. Yeah.
You're a bigger man than I am.
I think it was a case of, you're big, you're popular, you're living the life that you've always wanted to live, and suddenly you are veiled out. Yo, Beyonce this, Beyonce that. Who's gonna believe you? People are just gonna be saying things about you, blah blah blah. So I just let it go.
Much bigger than I am. I'd come after him with everything I have.
Every artist goes through that phase where you've spent 6 years and you've grown with your fans, and you need to decide, at what point do I start letting them go?
Do you grow up, or does the fan grow up?
No, both of us.
Yeah.
Both of us grow.
So who's leaving who?
Exactly. But remember...
Who initiates the divorce?
the artist can more often than not, the artist initiates the divorce.
Because of the market, or because
No,
they're just not relevant anymore?
Because you're becoming relevant to people who are getting older. Let's use a simple example. A party DJ, you understand? At 21, he does not care. You know, you're out every weekend, you're making people dance. If you're releasing music, those people are loving it. 10 years on, most of them are talking marriage.
Yeah.
Most of them have responsibilities. You might have responsibilities too, but your career is also feeding your responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're then forced to still do what you want to do. But then your audience is getting older. So what you want to do, which is clubs, they're no longer there. So I attend a jazz festival, man. So what do you do now?
Does the
answer me? What do you do?
Well, I mean, as an artist, what you need to do is either you reinvent or die.
You cannot reinvent to them for here.
Do you not then start appealing to a different market?
Exactly. And that's why you initiate divorce with these ones.
And you go for a younger woman, as everyone else does. Music, representative of life. I asked this because you've made it through sort of, divorcing us. Thank you, Cleo. Feel quite divorced.
Nope.
And you've gotten through 2000s, right? And the 2000s are almost 20 years ago. Let that sink in. The 2000s, the beginning of the 2000s, are almost 20 years ago. But the 2000s are almost 20 years ago. That means that you, as a DJ Cleo fan, wherever I was listening to Escalini, I am now almost 20 years on, as you say. And possibly the divorce has happened along the way, or, we've annulled our marriage, or whatever has happened. What do you think has been the two things that have kept you still bankable? I was saying to you earlier on that I was speaking to Stone, and for me what I found was interviewing guys like you, that is the people who never created music for anything else but music's sake, creating art for art's sake, not to be in the pool with the champagne, but just to make music. And often you found that those lyrics were not about the champagne and the ice on the wrist, but about where I come from, who my homies are, my struggle, as it were. And now the narrative has changed completely. Why have you stayed relevant?
Because you touch so many lives that you don't know. Every year, or at least every month of my life, I come across someone who will tell me about how some song of mine from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years ago touched them wherever. Whether they freshers ball, PE, or whatever. And that's very humbling. But in the same token, you also touch different lives negatively without knowing.
Okay.
Last night I was playing and I know I upset a few people.
Why did you upset them?
Because I refuse to talk while I'm working. DJing is work. And unfortunately the DJ box just wasn't cordoned off. So, 1 or 2 glasses of alcohol, people think now, they want to go talk to the DJ.
And Cleo.
And I'm very arrogant when it comes to my work. Because I don't come to your workplace and disturb. You know what I mean? Respect me. So I'll tell guys, I'm busy. I'm busy.
So you don't take requests?
No.
Not one?
I am not a radio station.
Wait, what if it's a DJ Cleo request?
Still, you cannot. You dictating again.
Oh, okay. So what are you going to do?
Just trust the DJ. Let me do my job.
What do you think is the biggest issue with the music market right now?
Two things: piracy and corruption.
Let's talk about piracy for a second. So the whole idea that, back in our day, Cleo, when you and I were starting out, many moons ago, you had to buy a CD. For me to listen to Escalini, I had to either go buy the album or I would listen on the radio. Only ways I could get it. Right now, you can go into iTunes, download 3 tracks from there, and that's what I'm listening to because that's the one I like. The rest can actually, disappear. Lots of people are giving out music. They are releasing free to download. And has that changed the income structure of artists? So you're no longer making money from the actual CD sales, but you're making money from performances and appearances and endorsements based on the availability of your music. I download the CD, I like it, I then go buy the ticket to go listen to you at the Dome.
You've summed it up, so I'm waiting for the question.
The question is... With the matrix of piracy, then, is piracy still an issue?
It is. It is, because people still don't understand what piracy is. You know, and a lot of people that come up to me with demos, nowadays I'm that guy that tells people straight up, with Mfana, look, I don't advise you to do this full time, you know, because
Buddy, listen,
you might commit suicide when it doesn't work out. You know, I'm that guy. 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
know. But now, and I tell them straight, I never had a boss above me. I've always been my own boss. So I've seen the numbers. I know the numbers. I was never told by somebody what the numbers are. They landed in my hand, statement straight from iTunes or straight from MTN and so on. So when I tell you, don't waste your time. You know, it comes from a place of care. You know, call me a father figure. It's fine, but it comes from a point of care, because I know what it takes, and I usually ask them, how much music do you have that you didn't buy? Oh, not that much, but I have. I'm like, how many people are like you?
Yeah,
everybody.
But I mean, do you?
I even tell them I have music I didn't buy.
Cleo, you're a pirate.
No, I'm not a pirate. Exactly. You're going to the other thing that I always say to them. After they say I have a lot of music, I say to them, it doesn't mean you're a pirate. It doesn't mean you went out there to pirate with no, it happened. We all get music in many forms, many ways, you know. But that then drives the point home to say labels can't invest money in artists anymore because they can't make that money back.
Do we not now then go into the arena of 360 contracts, where we don't only be owning the music, but we own the artists themselves?
But you see, knowledge is power, right? But then again, the right knowledge sometimes can be detrimental.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we live in a cyber world, you know. We've got Google, we've got whatever, you know, and youngsters educate themselves, you know. But the problem is now youngsters get into the industry too knowledgeable for their own good, to a point where when the label says we want a 360, youngster Beyonce, I want to own my rights, I want to own this, I want to own that. Yeah, they might have the right knowledge, but then again, you do realize that at that point, that knowledge is what's going to stand between you and a record deal.
This is TransAfrica Radio.